Hello, fearless listeners. Welcome to Let Fear Bounce, the weekly podcast that brings you inspiration and motivation and a nugget of hope. Join me, Kim Langling, as I chat with awesome guests from all walks of life who share how they have conquered their fears. So get ready, my friends, to be empowered to let your own fears bounce. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Let Fear Bounce. This is Kim Langling, your host, and I am so happy that you're deciding to join us today. Myself and my special guest, Cece Robinson. Now, she is an author, folks, and she has over 2 decades experience in cross-cultural settings as a medical doctor, working in post-Civil War nations, and as an associate pastor at a multi-ethnic congregation led by an African-American man in Cincinnati, Ohio. The setting for Divided, which is her book, which was just released, folks, and it's now currently available on Amazon. Ta-da! There it is. So when she's not throwing on her superhero cape to save her characters from their dystopian antics, Cece enjoys hiking, gardening, dancing, swimming, and driving her Jeep through the woods with her husband and her 3 kiddos. And they also have a dog named Sadie, a pandemic puppy. So, hey, welcome, Cece, to Let Fear Bounce. So glad to have you here today.
Thank you so much, Kim. I'm excited to be here and to talk with you.
I I want to hear a little bit. Okay, first off, see, here goes my brain. This is what it does. Rolls around. I have 18 questions ready in my head. First off, what made you decide as an author to write in the genre that you write in right now?
I think the dystopian genre is a really practical as well as impactful genre. Practical in that you can take one, major societal ill and then blow it up to its logical conclusion, showing people this is bad and this is where we're headed. But then it's also impactful because people see that and then they want to change.
Now, when you're writing your stories,
Mhm.
do you take real life happenings and kind of tweak them to fit into your books?
Not really. In a way, maybe some of the events were inspired by real life events. So in Divided, Marcos, my main character, is the Hispanic teen, and he's just desperate for escape. So he jumps over the wall of the city, which is supposed to be impossible. And he does it though, and gets outside of it. And then he gets caught and ends up in a labor camp. And that labor camp in particular, I modeled based on our own history of chattel slavery in the United States, combined with the what North Korean prison camps look like. And what inspired me to include North Korean prison camps in that is one of the young men in our hometown here, Otto Warmbier, was taken captive, prisoned, whatever, in North Korea. He died in a North Korean prison cell. Um, was he abused? Was he not? We don't know. Was it deprivation? There was a lot. He looked really bad and he was very different. He was my kid's swim coach. And so that really hit our community and really shook us as a community and really rallied us together, but also highlighted the evils of what was going on in our present day world. And so that kind of wormed its way into Divided. But the labor camps are different in that they have some of the elements from both of those historical times, but there's also some very unique things with the world of Divided and the Federated Republic of America as it is at that point.
How do your characters come to you? Do they introduce themselves to you, or do you literally just
No.
sit down and you have to really figure out, oh, I have to make something up?
My main 4 characters introduce themselves in a dream. I had an all-night dream where I saw like our nation divided into ethnic groups with walls in between us, and the kids didn't know each other. And they've been 45 years without any interaction. So of course, youngsters in their teenage and younger aren't going to have any clue about other cultures, but they wanted to know each other. And in that dream, I saw each of my 4 main characters, and you know, some came better baked, if you will,
Hmm.
than others. Harriet and Marcos were definitely the two with the most, I would say, solid characterizations. Rose was almost there. I had to do a little bit more work on her. She was too angry in my dream. She's pretty angry, but it was a little over the top. And I'm like, girl, you got to calm down just a little bit. We got to make you somewhat likable. And then Jason was actually more of a villain in my dream. And I was like, that's not always true. The white people aren't always to blame. And so his father became more of the villain, and he became a force for good, an unwitting superhero, if you will.
That is so cool that as soon as you said they came to me in a dream,
Mhm.
I was just like that. I've had so many dreams that are so vivid
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
in color.
Hmm.
And when you wake up, you still feel like you're there. Or at times, if there was music in my dream, I wake up, I still hear it.
Yeah.
Or if there were certain smells in my dream, I wake up and I still smell them.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
I've never, I'm thinking there's got to be a word for that.
I would say I'm a dreamer as well, and Harriet is a dreamer, and so I let her have some of those super vivid dreams like I have, um, and yeah, it's a very unique thing to wake up and feel like this feels really real, and it feels like it could actually happen, and will it happen? I don't know. I hope not. I hope this my all night dream doesn't come to fruition, um, but yeah, it was really vivid and it stayed with me. And like if I didn't write, Mar Marcos would come back and be like, kind of knocking, hey, excuse me, I'm still in bondage. Can you can
Right.
you can you help my
You,
brother out here? Can you help my brother
yeah.
out? And I'm like, oh my
Give me legs, woman. Let's
gosh,
go.
dude, chill.
I love that. I love that because I
Mhm,
know there's folks out there. Maybe there's folks that are sitting out there. They've got stories in their heads. They've had those
mhm,
same dreams we're talking about. Because some people are going
mhm.
to sit here and look at us and say, "Those two chicky poos are a little woo woo," and you know what? That's fine.
That's okay.
That's okay
That's
because we
okay.
know we are.
Yeah, yeah, we are. We'll have all the dreams for you.
That's right.
We'll bear this burden. It's
That's
okay.
yes, we will
You
bear
go
that burden.
rest nicely.
Yeah. Yeah. But maybe there's someone that's sitting out there right
Hmm.
now that's like, "Oh wow, they have that too. It's not
Hmm.
just me, or I'm not a weirdo." No,
Hmm.
you're not. Whoever's out there listening or
No, you're
watching, you've
not.
got that story in you. Get it down on paper. It might
Hmm.
be horrible at first, but at least get it down on paper.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I would say the same thing. I would say just start writing. My first drafts were abysmal. Like they are now currently like little bits of recycling after being shredded, or they're a doorstop. I don't know, one of the two,
Right.
um, but yeah, just keep working at it and work at your craft. And writing should be for you first and foremost. You are your first reader. And so write what brings you joy, write if there's a burden, like write it off, like do what you have to do. And um, you don't have to be a published author, though some people will take it to there. Some people just like to write stories, and that's great.
Yeah. Journals. Yeah. Some
Hmm.
people have
Hmm.
journal upon journal filled with their stories.
Hmm.
And maybe they'll self-publish them and they just want them for themselves or for maybe their kids or,
Yeah.
family members, whatever. But if you've got that, in you and
Hmm.
you're like, you've got that drive. And folks, if you're out there listening, you know exactly what I'm talking about. To those ones that have to get those words out, you know who
Hmm.
you are. Just
Hmm.
like as CC said, just do it. Just do it. So what was what inspired you, or did anything inspire you to begin writing?
Marcos wouldn't leave me alone.
Oh, it was
So
from your dream. It was the dream
yeah.
that was the
Yeah, it
impetus
was
for
the
that.
dream. Yes. And like the day I got up, I wrote it all down as much as I could. It was like pages and pages and pages. And then I was like, what do I do with this?
Yeah.
And so
Mm.
I started praying. And the thing is, the dream kept happening. Not the entire dream, but parts of it. And I would get a little more and a little more, and then I just keep writing it down. And then I'm like, okay, I need to actually like learn how to write. Because up till that point, I was what I would call a technical writer. I have a finance background, medicine. I ran a nonprofit. Now I'm a pastor. I can do technical writing all day long. I can write a sermon, like nonfiction, blogs, super easy. Got it. And at that point, I was blogging, um, but I wasn't like writing fiction. I wasn't even reading fiction. Closest I think I got to fiction was memoir. Um, and so I had to learn this whole thing and um, discover everything about writing fiction and then choosing the dystopian genre because there were lots of ways this could go. It felt very dystopian to me. And that was this was in 2012. So it wasn't long after like Divergent, the movies came out and the Hunger Games came out in movies. And so it was, oh, like I could do that. Okay, I got that. And I started learning that. But yeah, it was a lot of missteps and starting overs and stumbling and just trying to figure it out.
I
Yeah.
was just asked the question, when you look back, when you look back and from when you first began writing to where you're at
Hmm.
now on your writing journey,
Yeah.
um, you know,
Hmm.
what are the challenges and things that you faced? And I was just asked that. And I remember sitting there thinking, I don't look at anything that I've went through as challenges per se.
Hmm.
I look at them all as learning experiences. So it wasn't
Yeah.
really a challenge. It's like, no, I just didn't know how to do that. So I had to learn.
I had to learn.
And so I'm
Hmm.
self-taught on so much. I just do
Hmm.
so much research, watch so many YouTube videos,
Hmm.
read a whole bunch of stuff. I have
Hmm.
numerous books on, writing for dummies, stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But so I taught myself. I didn't go to college. I went to the military, so I didn't have a writing background, but I found that
Hmm.
I had, and I write nonfiction or creative nonfiction.
Yeah.
And I like sharing others' stories and
Hmm.
making them come to life if I'm able to,
I
and that's
love
where my
that.
passion lies
Hmm.
is, and at the end of it, to hopefully provide some hope and inspiration.
Hmm. Well, I hope people hear that because, here you don't have an MFA. I have an advanced degree in medicine, but that doesn't help me a bit when it comes to fiction. Like
Right.
literally zero. It may
Right.
even hinder. It may even be a negative thing. So if us two can figure this out, like honestly, really, you can. You don't
Truly.
need an MFA. That got hung up for a while with me was that this feeling of like inferiority or like imposter syndrome that I needed to have like the letters after my name. And
Right.
maybe medicine did that. Like I don't know, but I at this point I know I don't need that. Like I know that nobody actually needs that. Now some people may want it and if they feel
Right.
like that's theirs to pursue, go for it. Like do not let anything stand in your way. Um so yeah, but I hear you in that and we're capable of learning just about anything if we want to.
Well, and there's we
Yeah.
we have so much right at our fingertips now.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Whereas even 10 years ago we didn't have as much as we
Hmm.
have now. You know,
Yeah. Oh,
I
absolutely.
can I can learn so much
Hmm.
online as long as you, okay, do the due diligence and you're not
Hmm.
on crap sites that it's
Yeah, yeah,
just
yeah.
blowing smoke and noise.
Yeah.
But, and I was
Hmm.
just at this past June, I was at a Christian writers conference in my area.
Hmm.
I had never attended a Christian writers conference. Um,
Yeah.
and I've always been, to conferences, but not
Yeah.
to a Christian writers
Yeah.
one.
I haven't either. Yeah.
And I had that imposter syndrome because once I got there, I realized, wow, everyone here has all kinds of college degrees and they are teaching at the college level. They're professors and they're this or they're that.
Hmm.
And they have all these
Hmm.
accolades and
Hmm.
and just on and on. And I sat there thinking, I am a veteran who just likes to write. And I felt so small for like the first
No.
half day.
Yeah.
and I wanted to go home.
Mm-mm, mm-mm.
And then I was like, wait a minute, Kim, you have an opportunity to learn so much from these people.
Yes, yes.
So when I was asked that question about challenges, to me
Mm-hmm.
that imposter syndrome, that self-doubt, that
Mm-hmm.
I call it the D
Mm-hmm.
man when the devil sits on
Yeah.
your shoulder,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm
Yep.
like, not today,
Mm-hmm. Not
you
today.
know.
Well, the interesting thing about imposter syndrome is that imposters never have it.
I know they are the most
So the fact that you even think that you
positive.
might be an imposter tells you that you're not.
Right. Yes. Oh, perfect way of putting it. That's a good way. Oh, thank you.
I had to trust me. I had to get to that.
Yeah.
This was a hard fought fight,
I'm sure, and
but
I'm
now
sure
I'm like,
there are people listening right now that are sitting
mm-hmm,
there going, "Oh, I hear you. I hear what you're saying." But that was, well, I was
mm-hmm,
surprised by how strong that feeling was because
mm-hmm,
I don't typically ever have that.
yeah,
But sitting there but I learned it
mm-hmm,
was a 4-day thing, and
mm-hmm.
I learned so much, and I ended up with an award at the end of it because there was a conference
Wow,
that you submitted stories before the conference ever even started, weeks before, and I ended up, with an honorary award for a story that I had submitted that I was like, and I put it in the comedy genre. I never have written like that, but I was like, I'm going to try it because why not?
why not?
And I actually
Yep.
I got an honorable mention, and you
Well,
got a
come
little
on.
award certificate for it and everything. And they don't give those out easy because even
No.
in some of the categories, they didn't even give a winner. Even though
Wow.
there were people that submitted,
Mm-hmm.
you don't win just because there's some submitted. You
Yeah.
only win if it's worth it. So and I because and so many got honorable mention,
Mm-hmm.
but for second and third place, a lot of them, none of them were
Mm.
awarded for second or third.
Wow.
And so
So
they're
good
very, and I was
job.
like, that's where all their smarts are coming in.
Mm-hmm.
But they're all very, very good at what they do,
Mm-hmm.
and they've been doing it for years. So I learned a lot. Here's something I want to ask you. When you are, and you had mentioned earlier, you do some research, you did some research.
Yeah.
What types of tools do you use when
Mm-hmm.
you research for your books,
Mm-hmm. Um,
if
in
any?
building, yeah, in building the world of divided, I did I would say like a couple years worth of research. Um, so one Clifton Strengths, one of my top five is input. So I can just go down the research rabbit hole for like decades. You lose me there. Like I'll get lost. So I spent a lot of time at the library. Um, we have an amazing public library here in Cincinnati, and the downtown public library has a lot of resources. I read as 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 I could find them, and some of them were only online. First person accounts of the chattel slavery in the United States, first person accounts of people who had either escaped or released from Soviet gulags in the 1960s, 50s, and 60s, from North Korean prisons, who had been imprisoned in developing world. I even read a lot of accounts from human trafficking survivors, and began then to build the evil part of the world, if you will. Did a lot of research into political systems. My um, college experience started out with political science, and then I quickly realized, this is not going to work, and switched into business. But so I really, I have a good basis in political science and in political systems, and so building on that. But then I did something that I think not a lot of people take the time to do. Because I knew I was going to be writing from four different perspectives, and none of them would be mine. None of them were going to be a middle-aged white woman. They were all going to be teenagers in different ethnicities. And even the boy, or the white kid, is so different from me that I needed to do research. So I spent a lot of time interviewing people. I wanted to know cultural practices, what their families were like, what it was like growing up in the mixed elements of the United States, and what it was like growing up when it was just their people group or their ethnicity. And all of that went into inform. I didn't sit and go, oh, what Emmanuel told me, I'm going to put right here, right now. But maybe Emmanuel's story wove into the fabric of either upheaval or divided and or beyond. And a lot of those things informed the plot. They didn't drive the plot, if that makes any
Well,
sense.
by personally interviewing folks like that,
Hmm.
I think that's brilliant. And I'm sure many people do that.
Hmm.
But it's teenagers that you said you'd spoken to, different,
And adults too.
because they would be giving
Yeah.
you their viewpoint of the world,
Yeah.
which would be
Yeah.
at times maybe even polar opposite from yours.
Very different. Very different. And I needed to hear that because a lot of times we just assume what someone else's life is like
Right.
based on their externals. And I mean, everybody does it, right?
Mhm.
We are human. This is what we do. But we have to take off those assumptions and put them aside and listen with an ear and a heart that's ready to hear and receive, and then show better in a
Right.
way through
Right.
our characters.
To hear, receive, and not judge.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's
Mm.
awesome. And I love, that's why I love hearing, or I love talking to people. The first
Mhm.
book that I did, it's no longer available online, and I'm going to rewrite the darn thing because it was my first attempt and it was horrible. But
Well, first drafts,
yeah,
yes.
and it was years and years ago, but it was all interviews that I had done over a 12-year span with combat veterans.
Wow.
And some of their stories were really hard hitting. And I
Mm-hmm.
wrote this not having a clue. I just knew
Mm-hmm.
that I wanted to do it as
Mm-hmm.
as an honor to them.
Mm-hmm.
I still have the first draft of the book. I've got copies of it, but I will never ever put that draft out into the world again. It will be redone and repackaged, we shall say,
Yeah, absolutely.
and tweaked. But
Mm-hmm.
that's talking to them
Mm-hmm.
from all different eras, from World War II POWs, Korean War
Mm-hmm.
POWs, Vietnam combat vets.
Wow.
Um, yeah, it was so. Let's say I lost a lot of sleep after those chats.
I bet. I
I lost a
bet.
lot of sleep, and what an honor that they even shared because many
Yeah.
of them don't, and some of them had
Mm-hmm.
never shared
Yeah.
until they talk to me, and
Mm-hmm.
for them to allow me to put it in a
Mm-hmm.
book, so I want to do that book a little bit better justice. But
Mm-hmm.
I when you were talking about when you went and talked to
Mm-hmm.
people, I was sitting there thinking about that time too in my life where you're
Yeah.
seeing the world in a completely different way,
Yeah.
and but you have to be completely open to receive it, like you said.
Mm-hmm.
And I think as writers, for the most part, I think we are
Mm-hmm.
more open to hearing and seeing things differently because we know that life is not how
Mm-hmm.
we think it is or how only we see it.
Yeah.
There's many different lenses out there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I was one of the things when I asked about the types of tools that you used, and this was something
Mm-hmm.
that was fun that I learned from one of the
Mm-hmm.
ladies that taught one of the courses at the
Mm-hmm.
conference. She said, because we were talking about creative writing, and I
Yeah.
love doing that. I love creative writing, creative
Mm-hmm.
nonfiction. And she said, get yourself some field guides. Like,
Field guides.
yeah, and I'll show you.
Yeah.
Field guides of North American mammals,
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
field guides of hawks.
Fox.
I've
Yeah.
got field guides of wildflowers of North America, of trees, of
Mm-hmm.
stars and planets,
Yeah.
because the words that are used to describe all of those are
Mm-hmm.
words that you can use when you want, when you're trying to bring in just that little extra something to make your reader feel. And I was talking to my brother and I was telling him
Mm-hmm.
that. He's like, wow, that is so cool. He
Yeah.
goes, it kind of sounds like what I did because he's a musician and he was a songwriter. And he goes, that sounds like something I used when I was writing songs. And I said, what's that? And he said, it's the Essential Songwriters Rhyming Dictionary. And I went,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that existed.
What? Wow.
Yeah, can you see it?
Yeah.
Essential Songwriters Rhyming Dictionary. And so I said, "Oh my gosh, I'm going to get online and get that." It is so awesome. All of the different things, because you
Uh-huh.
never know when you're going to need to rhyme.
Well, I do write songs as well. So yeah. And I
Oh,
have I have a song that's in the hopper right now that there's a line that it needs a rhyme and it's super hard. It's a super hard song to rhyme or word to rhyme. So I'm totally going to
But
go
it'll
get
it
that now.
explains
Yeah.
to you how to find
Yeah.
words that rhyme with hard words that you can't
Yeah.
think of something that rhymes with it. It
Mhm.
explains in there how to find them.
That's what I
And I
need.
just thought it was brilliant. And I'm like,
That is brilliant. Yeah.
I'd never heard of it. And I was like, well, I'm not a songwriter, so
Hmm.
why would I have? But I think there's also an online version. So there you
Perfect.
go. Little tip
Worth
for
the
you.
price of admission.
That's right. Woohoo. So, okay, you said you're a songwriter. Do you write worship songs or secular songs? What type of stuff do you write?
They are, well, they're praise and worship. I tend toward the faster end of praise and worship. I
Like
really love,
contemporary? Like
um,
contemporary?
okay, I'm gonna totally like explode the box. Okay, so if gospel, contemporary, and Latin music had a baby, that's what I write.
Oh, that sounds fun.
Super, super fast, upbeat. Um, like think big songs. So the first song I wrote that we've now we're actually like writing and producing it as a church is like it's got horns and it is a fast salsa. The second song is I think probably going to be a like more of a syncopated rhythm. I don't know if it's going to be a samba or a cha-cha, but it's going to have a Latin beat as well. And it's got both songs have a rap in them. I'm white. I need help with the flow. Um, but I just want to state the obvious. Um, and I cannot rap to save my life, so please do not make me. I can write the rap, I just can't do it.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, it's super fun. I love the contemplative like worship songs. It's just not what I write.
Yeah. That's so cool though. That's so
Mhm.
cool. So how long have you been a pastor?
Um, Gosh, it's been a long time. So, officially a pastor when we started planting the church up here in 2013 in Cincinnati. Before that, my husband and I were associate pastors and um, leaders. And no one ever called me doc or pastor was always doctor. Um, but we certainly carried a pastoral role in the church. So we've been doing that for like our whole marriage, which is 23 years.
So it was
Um,
just kind of probably just the natural progression.
we were accidental campus missionaries, basically. Yeah. And I still to this day, I'm amazed. Six college students, women, came to my house every Friday morning at 6 a.m. for our leadership group, because that was the only time I had between having a newborn and being a fourth year medical student.
Wow.
So yeah, they were amazing and they all still talk to me. I'm just shocked by it.
They all still like you as a human.
They all still talk to me. I'm so cool.
That is so awesome. And what a varied background. I love talking to folks and finding out,
Mhm.
what makes them tick. And I mean, such a varied background that you have, and it's all
Some people would
culminating.
say I can't figure out what I want to do when I grow up, and I hope I found it. I hope I
Yeah.
found it.
No, I think it's awesome. I think it's awesome. And I appreciate all your time today. We're going to get ready to wrap up because time has flown.
Wow.
I know I could keep talking for quite a while, actually. This has been so much fun. But as we get ready to wrap up, I ask everybody to, first off, please share where people can find you, your books, anything cool you've got
Mhm.
coming up in the future, all that good stuff.
The central hub for everything for me is going to be my website, ccrobinsonauthor.com. I'm on all the socials, well, not all, but a lot of the socials as at CC Robinson Author. So if I'm not there as CC Robinson Author, just go check a different one. Um, and then you can find the books, ebook on Amazon, and the paperback is really everywhere. And this is Divided. And then Upheaval is its sweet little prequel novella, not very big. But yeah,
And how many books this is going to be a series, right?
it
Divided?
will be. It will be four main novels, but between each of the main novels, there's a novella I'll tuck in between.
Oh,
Little
that's a
side
lot of
quests.
writing. That's a lot
It's
of
a
writing.
lot. It's a lot of writing. Yes.
Well, good luck with all of it. Good
Thank
luck
you.
with all of it. And I'm sure they're going to do well because I know
Mhm.
Divided is out right now. Just recently released, folks, and it's doing quite well on
Mhm.
Amazon. So be sure you check that out. All the information will be down in the description and in the show notes, depending upon what platform you're listening or watching this from, YouTube or Spotify or
Mhm.
wherever. Also, okay, Cece, I ask all of my guests at the end of the show to please toss out a nugget of hope to the listeners, something that they can be inspired or
Mhm.
motivated by, and that they can tuck away and carry with them for the rest of the day. So, what would your nugget of hope be today?
I would say you are capable of not only surviving, but thriving through far tougher situations than you ever thought possible. But also, you need a community. And I would add a diverse community to do this far more than you ever assumed.
What an awesome nugget.
Mhm.
What an awesome nugget. I might have to like get that transcribed and type that out in the show notes so people can like cut and paste.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Cut and paste, hang it on your wall above your computer.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a good reminder. I think folks need that on a
Mhm.
daily basis.
Me too.
Yeah. The world needs everybody, and we're here
Mhm.
for a reason,
Mhm.
and you can thrive.
Mhm.
Awesome. Awesome stuff. Thank you so much, Cece, for being my guest today on Let Fear Bounce. This has
Thank
been a
you.
true blessing.
Thank you so much, Kim.
And everybody out there listening, thank you once again for tuning in. I know that your time is precious, and I am so blessed that you decided to take a bit of it and share it with us. Everybody out there, be well, stay well, and above all, be blessed. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode of Let Fear Bounce. Your time is precious, and I am so grateful that you chose to spend just a small part of it with myself and my guest today. If you've enjoyed today's conversation, be sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss our weekly nuggets of hope and inspiration. And remember, folks, let fear bounce because you've got this. So until next time, folks, keep your light shining bright.